Members of the opposition in Parliament have raised a concern that the resource envelope, which forms the foundation of the national budget, continues to shift, whereas the second budget, called Circular for financial year 2026-27, projected a total expenditure of 78.2 trillion shillings and domestic revenue at 41.5 trillion. Minister of Finance has revised the figures upwards, indicating estimates of 84.2 trillion shillings in total expenditure and 44.5 trillion in tax revenue. According to the opposition, 44% of the 78.2 trillion shillings is meant to cater for service delivery, noting that 56% of the budget is already committed to debt servicing, refinancing and fixed costs. According to the opposition, whereas the budget projection is large, it does not translate into improved service delivery.
Address the issue of domestic arrears. Government had committed to clearing arrears within 3 years, yet in the proposed budget of government, the allocation has been drastically reduced from 1.4 trillion to a niggardly 200 billion shillings. This is not just a budget adjustment. It's a broken promise. Suppliers and contractors who delivered goods and services to government are now facing bankruptcy. Jobs are being lost.
The opposition, through their leader of opposition, Joel Ssenyonyi, presented an alternative budget anchored on clearing domestic arrears, reducing domestic debt, safeguarding livelihoods, and what they refer to as building strong institutions.
The reality is that this 71.4 trillion shillings is what we can marshal as resources for the fiscal year. Around accountability, transparency and governance. Public funds are not always used efficiently. Oversight is weakened. Corruption continues to erode public trust. We must strengthen institutions such as the Auditor General, the Inspectorate of Government, and Parliament's oversight committees. Public resources must be managed transparently, and those who misuse them must be held accountable.
Commenting on the national budget priorities, the Executive Director, Civil Society Budgetary Advocacy Group, CSBAG, Julius Mukunda, is concerned with the new tax proposals, especially increasing tax on second-hand clothes, introducing excise duty of 0.2% on value of all cash withdrawals through the financial system, and tax on smartphones.
For me, the other important element is that if this was done across all financial institutions, then you can say you have a tax policy that is equitable and fair. But if you say only mobile money transactions and you don't target banks, the commercial institutions, in one way you are saying don't use the mobile money. Tax on smartphones, if you have an iPhone, you can say it's a luxury. But there are these low ones of less than $100. That's not a luxury. That is a shop for somebody. That is a...
Speaking on behalf of National Unity Platform President Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, the acting president, National Unity Platform, Dr. Lina Zedrigan, called for targeted sanctions against corrupt individuals in Uganda. Jim Akena, President Uganda People's Congress, decried the declining number of generaries under the agricultural sector.
Ugandans in the diaspora, I am actively engaging key decision makers and international institutions to scrutinize lending legitimacy and resources. The money they send does not help Ugandans. It's mostly lost to corruption by government officials. We are calling for targeted sanctions against individuals responsible for turning our country into a source of pain.
And I had 53 generaries under the cooperatives. The production was 208 million meters. When you say Uganda's capacity is 150 million, what we need, 150 million. We could produce 208 million in 1971 when our population was about 7 million. The rest was for export. The facilities were there for export. Now look longo. You go to Mombasa. What is
the chief opposition whip in Parliament, John Baptist Nambeshe, said Their alternative budget priorities are not criticizing the national budget projections, but prioritizes people's welfare over excess and their service delivery. I'm Navka Farida and Gloria Gwitabinji at Parliament.